That's what I was so struck by, Sam, this entire shoot, was how collaborative you were and how much you're willing to kind of hear people's opinions and let them do their very best and let them shine. And then in the end, of course, everything comes from you. But I felt that just showed such confidence and humility simultaneously, and I really appreciated that. I'm sure everyone else did too.
You're too kind to me. Sometimes I'm still trying to figure out how to do that, because I sometimes run into conflicts. I mean, I need everybody's input to make it all work and to make it special and unique and make it real. No one understands the moment like an actor, finally living in the moment. Finally, a director can't create that. It's got to come from the inside of an actor to make a real moment, like these moments with Thomas. At the same time, the director needs certain things to happen, and you've got to somehow be flexible and know the story you need to tell. And I'm often coming to conflicts with it. The toughest one I had was with Topher in this alley scene we were shooting. So I loved Topher, and he was so funny and brought so much humor and life to everything he did. But then I had a conflict with Topher that I still have sleepless nights over, because it's
I gotta say, when I first signed on, Sam, you said to me that it was going to be a collaboration, and the script wasn't even finished, and we were going to find it together. And I remember that first time we all saw it in Japan. I mean, look, I've never been in a film of this scope, and you're like the president of a small country, in leading everyone on a huge project like this, especially after having two that came before it that were so successful. And I was so blown away when I saw it and how you brought all the elements together. And yeah, I mean, there are rough days, and there are days where you feel like you found it or you didn't find it. Yeah, I'm sure as a director, like there is as an actor, but you were always there to talk to and to listen. And I don't think you can ask for more than that in a director. Is someone to, and I think people who don't work with you know that. I mean, I certainly knew that coming in.
And as far as Sam is concerned, it was such a wonderful opportunity, because I've been an admirer of Sam's for so long, all the way back to Evil Dead movies, and one of my personal favorites, Simple Plan, which I think is a masterpiece. And the people that do work so tirelessly, and it's just, Dan Bradley and Scott and all the special effects guys, and just how they always kind of maintain this Raimian cheerfulness in doing their jobs. It's just great to be a part of that company.
This is Thomas's great idea. I'm sorry to break subject, like you say, but he said, "I want to hit this dog." He wanted to let the audience know, that he had some weight to him. We had just come out of a softer scene with him, and he is a villain, and he had to let the audience know he could deal with Spider-Man if he had to. Thomas.
That was whenever we were doing the pre-shoot, and it was the very first day we were downtown L.A., and I thought, okay, I'm going to probably make the most inappropriate suggestion ever. And I went to Sam and I said, "Is there any way I could punch a dog in a movie for children?" And Sam was clearly receptive to the idea. But
I think it was great. It's obviously a puppet dog provided by KNVFX, and we had our second year director shoot some real photography with an attack dog and a stunt double, and then Thomas was bold enough to punch the puppet. That's what, as far as he would contribute.
But you know what? The real dog got me back for punching his puppet neighbor, because one of those dogs bit me on the heel when I was going over that fence.
Oh my God!
And I was like, "Is there any way we can get this dog to stop biting me?" And I think we did like 10 takes, and I think the dog hit my foot about 9 of 10 takes. You didn't know that, did you, Sam?
No.
That's because you were off having a cappuccino while we were shooting the scene.
Gotta stay alert.
When I first signed on, there was no script. There was just an idea, and Sam walked through all of, at that point, the storyboards that existed, but there was a completely different villain at that point, and was going to be, hopefully, played by a thespian as diametrically opposed to Topher as I think you can get in the human race. And
it was a vulture, and we had Sir Ben Kingsley was going
Right.
to play that role.
Sir Ben
And
Kingsley.
Sir Ben Kingsley.
Serban.
but the early formation of the character, it was that there was this kind of grudging alliance that was struck in prison between Vulture and the Sandman, or Flint Marko rather, and that was kind of the genesis of how I started forming the character. But Sam really came up with what I think was probably the most significant inspiration for me, which was to enlighten me with the ancient Jewish folkloric character of the Golem, which was a mud creature that was summoned by a rabbi in Poland in the 13th century. And it was such an innocent and malevolent character, and Sam gave me a book, a story, really a picture storybook for children, but it tells the story of the Golem in such eloquent and kind of innocent dialogue and pictures, and I that was really, for me, that was the linchpin for the character.
I was fine somewhere.
Yeah, that's weird. Sam gave me "Mommy, where do babies come from?"
Whenever we'd get to scenes like this, we'd spend like 4 hours fixing a line. And so sometimes we'd get into it, which is usually done in rehearsal, but sometimes we'd spend the day, fine-tuning scenes.
Now on, I am going to be taking shots of you for the bugle. So, smile. Are you smiling? Just kidding. They got a guy. Who, Parker?
I love that line you came up with. You smiling? Just kidding. Are you smiling? No, it's really good.
Kind of an amateur. Have you noticed his stuff makes you look a little bloated? Just
In every movie, when you visualize a scene in your head, even from rehearsal, it changes completely when you're there. Anything you rehearse goes out the window, and you feel free to change it and do whatever you'd like, which is good about you, Sam, because you're always open.
Bump on the head, I'm as free as a bird. I thought Harry would be more, he's kind of innocent now. He's lost his memory, and he's kind of the guy he would be if he hadn't had such a terrible father. I thought if he was eating cotton candy, that would add to the...
That was great. Yeah, it's such a great touch you came up with.
jigs up, pal.
I don't want to hurt you. Leave now.
I guess you haven't heard. I'm the sheriff around these parts.
It's a great line, man.
Toby came up with that line.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's something that was fun for him, a little cocky.
Yeah, it's a little, yeah.
You're surprised that someone's not aware of him. He's so full of himself.
It was a good opportunity. I think it's hard to find opportunity to build story and character when in action sequences in a suit. So I thought it was, a kind of a natural opportunity for that to kind of advance what was happening with Peter.
You always do that. In every moment you can contribute to the character where he's at, express it in a realistic, good way, you're there. Also, if you have another line you can add for yourself, you seem to come up with it, too.
I'm always up for that.
Yeah, the part gets bigger.
Now, I think Bruce Campbell is just fantastic in this.
Yeah.
I loved working with you two guys. You really, you're not afraid to try things. That's what's great about you.
Yeah.
You did all sorts of different versions of this scene in case some of it didn't work, in case you want a piece of it, but not all of it. Different bits, different gags. I love the fact you're willing to play like that, Toby.
Oh, it was fun. It was great with him. And I think at first it was like a more antagonistic type of relationship. And we, through working on it, I think decided that they would kind of like each other.
That's right. You had to make sure that you weren't just, you had to find the right reaction, the right relationship with him. You kind of found it during the shooting of this.
How'd that get in there?
Toby.
That's what I really like to note. It's funny, but it's also, it shows us where he's at and what he thinks of himself, and the slippery slope he's slowly sliding down. Oh.
I gotta say, I loved it. It really made it exciting, like the new places that Peter went to in this movie for me to play, because it was like, it's kind of out of character for him, you know?
What would happen if this guy we knew started to believe his own press and kept going and going, hey, wait, we liked you before, please don't go there.
Yeah.
He doesn't even see, I can see how you're playing, you don't even see it coming.
And at first I wanted to be kind of careful with it, and I don't want to go too far into it. Like this little speech here about, the stuff I'm saying, I was a little hesitant to go as far. And by the time we were getting into it, I just wanted to go further and further.
I'm just a nerdy kid from Queens. Do I deserve this?
Hi, Pete.
Hi.
Hi, my parents and I were just having dinner here.
Oh.
Hello. I'm Gwen Stacy.
This is Mary Jane Watson.
I love that off camera the entire time there's this whole Keystone Cop dynamic with Bruce Campbell
Yeah.
and the waiters. It really keeps this comedic undercurrent that I think is very entertaining.
I think that was really ambitious and really pulled off in an amazing way that I wasn't sure about. I asked Sam, I was like, "Are you sure this is going to work?" And Sam said, "No, I'm I'm not, but we're going to give it a shot." And I think it just came off so well.
Well, it was lovely to meet you.
Bernard,
Yes, Mr. Osborne.
we're having a guest. Can you get some food?
A guest?
Yeah, a guest.
A guest?
This was an improvised moment, but I love it because I think we feel that Harry, no one ever comes to see him. He's been, until now, Peter's his only friend, and he's really a nice, poor, sad, isolated guy.
I never thought he'd really do that.
See? Right there. You made a judgment call. You gotta see.
It's so nasty, Topher came up with that. See, right there, you made a judgment call.
I love it.
Very,
And the song is a James Brown song called "People Get Up and Drive Your Funky Soul," which is was originally in the movie Slaughter's Big Ripoff. And it's such a great song that I wanted to use in this movie.
Yeah, we were getting sick of it.
They actually shot the scene using that song as playback
That's right.
on the set.
That's right. Bob, you are the maestro of obscure, crazy music.
Wow. There's not much to say after that move.
I like that you went up there and did that.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining.
There's a geek flair to it, but you actually have some good moves.
Well, thank you, sir. The geek flair was not an accident.
Oh my God.
Had to add that. That was the toughest part of the whole thing.
There's Mr. Paxton. You guys were talking about what a fine gentleman he is.
Yeah, I think he just had one or two very brief scenes in the first movie, and here he is with his own very important scene in the last one.
He gave everything he had to make it the very best performance that he could, and even afterwards, he gave me a call that he was a little concerned, and I told him he did just a brilliant job.
Now, Kirsten, I think that you talked to Sam about just not being in peril all the time, and you wanted to be more active within the action stuff. So this is something I believe you guys did a lot of work on to make you more active.
So now we're at the end, and I'm in peril. This is weeks and weeks, basically, on an LA soundstage. And this wasn't actually supposed to be me. This was supposed to be Bryce. And then they changed it and made MJ in peril, but it was really supposed to be Bryce who was supposed to be in peril at the end. And Sam made a phone call to me. If she's not in peril, we have to have that, and blah, blah, blah. So I was supposed to get off scot-free during this entire film without one scene of being in peril, but that changed.
Although the character went to a lot of new places, what was similar, what she feared would be similar is the girl in peril, being her again. So actually, I tried to change the script with my brother and Alvin to make it Miss Howard the one in peril.
You had a choice when you killed my uncle.
My daughter was dying. Yeah, this scene, the culmination and resolution of Sandman or Flint Marko and Peter Parker's story, that I was supremely impressed with Toby's focus and dedication to the specificity of what his character was feeling, and the number of times that we did work through it, and I think we actually shot, I remember about 4 versions of it. Why don't you just put down the gun and go home?
Now, I think to what you were saying earlier, Sam, about the difficulty about sort of the plot change and how that was going to affect me or my character or my performance, part of that was because some of the conclusions weren't, we knew where we were going, but it was going to affect everything, and we kind of didn't know exactly what the end of the movie was. So I didn't quite know where I was going with the character. I mean, I knew about and roughly, but with all of these scenes, we had work to do to polish them or flesh them out, and this is one of those scenes, I think, that ended up being great, but we had to give a lot of attention to.
Yes, Hugh, Alvin Sargent, Thomas really worked on this scene to make it work. I mean, you really hammered on it. We rehearsed again and again. We had script sessions with Alvin. Ivan was there sometimes. And we just kept working the material, trying to find what was true about it, what they'd really say, really feel, what conclusions they'd really come to. What a process this was. This was a real collaboration. That's the only word I can give to it. I really think the character has grown quite a bit here. And I think it's a good message for kids to go see when they see the picture, that it's one where the main character's most important thing that he learns is the value of forgiveness. And especially when it's a superhero picture, made for kids. I think it's a positive thing if you're a parent bringing your kids to the picture to have this contained within it, this journey. But to make it real, you guys did a beautiful job in your performances.
I forgive you.
I really feel the secret of forgiveness within your performance, Toby, that the real gift of forgiveness is in those that forgive. They're released from bondage of hatred. Mm-hmm. I see it in this close-up, in the last close-up, and in this next close-up. I see Thomas has been released, obviously. This was Thomas's idea, by the way.
Yeah, great idea, too.
But here I feel it. All flowing out of you. When Thomas came up with that ending, he said, Sam, maybe I would just, once I'm forgiven, I'm released, and the visual is me just blowing away, and it's a cloud of sand. And that was so right on.
Sam actually kept saying, you gotta bring the cool down.
No. I remember that part.
Oh, you don't remember that, Sam?